Let's call this meeting to order. It's Wednesday, July the 8th, 2026. It's our regular council meeting. This meeting will be streamed live and recorded for public viewing on the town's YouTube page. We acknowledge that this land on which we are gathered today is part of the ancestral land of the Chippewa, the Ottawa, and Potawatomi peoples, referred to collectively as Anishinaabe. It is through the connection of the Anishinaabe with the spirit of the land, the water, and air that we recognize their unique cultures, traditions, and values. Together as treaty people, we have a shared responsibility to act with respect for the environment that sustains all life, protecting the future for those generations to come. Council, I would remind you, if you have a pecuniary interest, to please declare it at the appropriate time. Clerk, we've had no delegations added to the agenda.
Nothing's been added, Your Worship.
Okay. Go to item 5.1. Any business arising from the previous meeting? Clerk, anything's been added?
Nothing, Your Worship.
All right, thank you. Let's go to item 6.1. A motion by Councillor Bojan, seconded by Councillor Rodriguez. That the minutes be adopted by council and those confidential minutes of the closed sessions of council remain confidential and restricted from public disclosure in accordance with the exemptions provided in the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. It would be our June 24th, 2026 regular council meeting minutes, our June 29th regular council meeting minutes, as well as the planning council closed meeting minutes. Council, you've had an opportunity to review them. Any questions, concerns? Anything from you, Councillor Vasey? You're good? Okay, all those in favor? It's carried. All right, 6.2 committee meeting minutes. We have nothing under that. All right, let's go to item 6.3, Councillor's report. Deputy?
Mr. Wolbert, you got anything to tell us?
Yeah, the only thing that I would have here is that we had our kids' safety day there for farm safety up in Forest at the arena. Very successful, 150 participants. Like I say, very successful day, and thank you for the support from this council.
Mr. Van Clever?
Hi, nothing to report.
Mr. Belgian?
The only thing I'll add is that the events committee's next event is Fins and Fenders on August 15th at McKay Park, so they're working on that.
I just had a conservation meeting. Nothing really special there. We did discuss the budget. We reduced it by 1%, so
1%.
it's gone from 4 to 3%. That package did come, so I assume it's gonna go on the next council meetings. I did see it come through on the email. So you have it.
I think so.
Oh, see
Oh, you're done, are you?
if Vasey's got any.
Oh, okay, I forgot about you, Mike. Mike, Mr. Vasey, do you have anything to report? Just that you're out riding around out there? Okay. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy. Just a couple things. First of all, had the opportunity to attend Keith and Norma Fisher's 65th wedding anniversary a week or so ago. It was at Sawmill Creek. A good crowd, a good couple that have certainly been pillars of our community for many years. The only other thing I've had some concerns. Well, maybe I'll save it for new business. Yeah, we'll do that. That's all I have. How about you?
Thanks. No, I have nothing.
Okay. All right, let's go to item 7.1. Accounts. Anything been added, clerk?
Nothing's been added, Your Worship.
All right, 8.1. I have a motion by Councillor Wolvet, seconded by Councillor Van Claveren, that the report by Lisa Smeekins, Deputy Clerk, dated June 26, 2026, regarding short-term rental application for 3538 Queen Street be received, and that council authorized staff to issue a license. Deputy Clerk, anything to add to your report?
No, I have nothing to add, Your Worship. I will say that the applicant is available on Zoom if anyone has questions.
Okay. Council, any questions? Councillor Wolvitt?
I think it's a pretty straightforward request, certainly meets the guidelines of our bylaw. So personally, I think have no issue with it.
Thank you. Anything else? Councillor Vacy?
There, can you hear me now?
We can.
My question is, if this was a continual Airbnb, why is it coming to us? Was there an application last year?
Deputy Clerk?
No, so the application was received after the 1-year timeline that council gave staff to the authority to issue the licenses for pre-existing short-term rentals. After that timeline, we had sent some registered mail, some properties got it, some properties didn't, and so then at that point, we had bylaw enforcement involved. So they might have been able to contact people that we hadn't been able to reach. So that may be why it came a little bit later, but it has been continuously operated. She has provided sufficient proof to staff that it was operated both before and after the bylaw was put in place.
Okay.
So my question being, your worship, is they should have paid last year. So they were operating without a license last year.
Actually, we operated before the bylaw came in.
So could you,
Sorry, can you hear me?
yes, we can, so could you give us that again, please?
I believe we were operating before the bylaw came in because it was last summer that we operated and then the bylaw came in the fall. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Review your worship, the bylaw came into effect in April of 2025. Licensing came into effect in the fall, so licensing began at the end of August. And our intention was for all properties to be licensed by October 3rd, which is why we had sent a registered letter early fall. So the start of licensing occurred in the fall. The bylaw was passed in April.
Anything further? Councillor Van Claveren?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we've got an operator here wanting to comply. And in my opinion, we need to be very thankful for those willing to comply. Because I believe there's just as many that are going to continue to operate, function underground. We're not going to know who they are. So to be punitive would just enhance that. So I appreciate Ms. Levert's come forward. Maybe she wasn't aware of it. Surely there's got to be a grace period. This could be it. If there was a fine for not complying, I could probably see that's appropriate to charge, but to make them pay for their license for last year isn't necessary, or to decline her ability to function as an enterprise. That would be a real shame. So she's willing to comply and meets all the requirements. I'm certainly in support of it.
Ms. Meekins?
I just wanted to add, your worship, that when we got bylaw enforcement involved, they sent out letters, and I believe on their letter, they gave a certain date that they wanted any outstanding ones to apply by. And Ms. Liver did meet the date that was listed in the bylaw enforcement letter before they said that after such and such a date, they were going to start issuing fines. So her application was received before the date that they supplied in that letter.
Okay. Councillor Vacy?
Okay, I'm okay with that if they've met that deadline. That's all. I don't want this to drag out for 2 or 3 years, this grace period. That's all. I appreciate what they're doing, but make sure we're following the rules.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, council will call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you, Ms. Leverett, for doing that, joining with us tonight. Okay, let's go to item 8.2.
Thank you.
I have a motion by Councillor Bojan, seconded by Councillor Rodriguez, that the report prepared by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, dated June the 30th, 2026, regarding Hyde Street Beach Access Stair Replacement be received, and that council approves the quote submitted by Southwest Fence and Decks in the amount of $23,580 plus HST, and that the project be funded from the unused Highland Glen boat launch dredging budget. I know Mr. De Silva's not here. Is Mr. Little, are you prepared to answer any questions or anything? I am. All right, Council, are there any questions? Councilor Rodriguez.
Thank you. I just want to know, the timeline when they're able to get it done.
Speaking with Southwest Fence and just last week, they were ready to go at it just as soon as we gave them approval. They scheduled it in.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions, Council? Deputy?
No, I was going to ask that and I just wanted, let's get it done as fast as possible so they can get in the biggest splash pad we ever had.
Councilor Wilbert, did you add your hand?
It's a fair trade-off. We got the money there that wasn't used on the dredging, so the stairs need to be replaced. Might as well do it.
Yeah. Councilor Vacy, anything from you?
Yes, your worship, just, we brought it straight to council. We don't meet this month for Parks and Rec, so we didn't want it to drag out for 2 months before we get approval for this, so I'm all in favor for it.
All right.
Thank you.
Welcome. Hearing nothing else, call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, 8.3. The motion by Deputy Mayor McEwen, seconded by Councilor Wolvette, that the report by Ryan Tamming, Drainage Coordinator, dated June the 30th, 2026, regarding summary of requests for drain maintenance between January the 1st and June the 30th, 2026, be received as information and filed accordingly. Tamming's with us. Thank you very much for your report, sir. Any questions? All those in favor? That is carried. Eight point four. Motion by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Councillor Wolvette, that the report by Jessica Wilson, Drainage Clerk, dated July the 2nd, 2026, regarding the request for appropriate be accepted, and that the attached agreement for the appropriate of drainage assessment due to severance of land for the Braxma drain be approved by council. Any questions? All those in favor? Carried. Item 8.5. The motion by Councillor Wolvette, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen, that the report by Ryan Tamming, Drainage Coordinator, dated June the 30th, 2026, regarding a petition for incorporating a new storm system sewers on Isabella Street be received, and that council appoint M. Garrett's Consulting Incorporated under Section 4 of the Drainage Act to produce a report based on the petition received June the 30th, 2026. Any questions? Councilor Rodriguez?
Thank you. Paul's not here, so I'm not sure.
Actually, Mr. Tamming is here.
Oh, yes. So since this is for the new development, will the new development receive a special benefit levied against them for this under the drainage?
So through mayor to council, this is actually there's already been Mike Garrett's has already been appointed for the subdivision part of this drain, so as part of that, part of the development, the town is replacing a water main. And also looking at upgrading the storm sewers on Isabella Street. So this portion would not be funded by the development, but the portion that is going through the development will be funded by the development. There's sort of two parts to this drain. There's the development part and the town's road reconstruction part. And this is appointing Mr. Garrett's on the town's reconstruction part.
Yeah. So I just want to be clear. So the reason why these storm sewers are being done on Isabel is because they need to be done regardless of the development?
Through mayor to council, yes, and it's in Mr. De Silva's original report too. BM Ross, as part of doing the work for the developer, has surveyed and designed for Isabella Street already, so there's some savings to doing this work at the same time, as well as contracting it at the same time. And I think Mr. Smansky has some more to add to that.
I was waiting for the chair to recognize me.
Oh, sorry.
It was focused on the speaker.
It's all right.
Go ahead.
Previously in Public Works and working with Paul on a lot of these projects, this has been a long-term need for the municipality. That section of Isabella Street is quite age dated, narrow, and has very poor drainage. So it's always been in our medium-term plans to upgrade that road. And knowing that development was in the area, we were waiting to to work with the developers at the time to ensure that the work is done the most efficient way as possible.
Okay.
So this portion is directly related to just ongoing road reconstruction and has nothing to do with the development itself.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, for the vote, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, item 9.1. A motion by Councillor Rodriguez, seconded by Councillor Bojan. The collection bylaw 58 of 2026 for maintenance, repair, and improvement of drainage works within the town of Plympton-Wyoming for the 2025 year be taken as having been read 3 times, finally passed, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw accordingly, and that the cost of works completed be collected in the manner outlined within the bylaw. Any questions? All those in favor? Item 10, correspondence. Nothing's been added to that, clerk?
But for actual requirement.
All right, let's go to item 11.1. Moved by Councillor Rodriguez, seconded by Councillor Bojan, that correspondence items A to E related to recommended reading and routine approval and information items not otherwise addressed by resolution be noted as received by the Plympton-Wyoming Council and filed accordingly. Councillor Bojan, anything from you? Councillor Vaizey, anything from you on that recommended reading? Councillor Rodriguez?
No, sir.
Deputy? Councillor Van Claveren?
No, thank you, sir.
Councillor Willett? All right. All those in favor? Carried. New business. Councillor Willett?
Nothing today, sir.
Councillor Van Claveren?
No, thank you, sir.
Deputy? Councillor Rodriguez?
Nothing, thank you.
Councillor Vaizey? Councillor Bojan?
Never mean to do.
These are 0 for 6. I do have some concerns that were brought to me related to the process of purchasing boat passes at Highland Glen. I'd like to ask staff to review our current parking pass arrangements and for council to consider a pay or display or another means. I think we've had some confusion out there the last while, so staff, if you can bring a report back, I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Your Worship. staff have too received an abundance of phone calls in regard to these current victim. People are having a lot of challenges in accessing the online system. That's becoming very frustrating for those residents and is resulting in unnecessary fines where they've actually purchased a pass, but because the system does not update quick enough, they get fined. So we'll gladly bring a report to council with some options at a future date.
Thank you. Okay, council, that's all we have. We are going to have a drainage meeting at 6 o'clock. And then when we return out of drainage, we're going to be going in camera. So at this time, I'd like to put us on hold until 6. Council, I would ask you to be back in your chairs for 5 to 6. And Councillor Van Claveren will be taking the lead on this one. So at this time, for those that are joining with us, we will be back at 6 o'clock. Thank you. Back at 6.
Everyone, thank you very much for being here tonight in council chambers. And if you're joining us online, we welcome you as well. My name is John Van Claver and I serve as the chair of the Drainage Committee. Welcome to everyone here. And as you know, in recent years, municipal drainage has become more important than ever. Our drainage superintendent, Ryan Tamming, has just reported that during the first half of 26, maintenance has already been completed on 15 municipal drains. And in addition, several major drainage reconstruction projects are underway in the town of Plympton-Wyoming. And even here in the village, we've been undertaking a comprehensive inventory of every catch basin in the village, along with a thorough cleaning program that is happening just as we speak, all for the efficient moving of water. Allow me to set the tone for our meeting tonight. This is a formal meeting and it is subject to the standard rules of decorum. Kindly set your phones on vibrate or turn off. And of course, we strive for a very respectful atmosphere and discussion and dialogue. A quick reminder, if you are going to be speaking tonight, we ask that you please use the microphone provided, especially for the hearing impaired. That's a big help to them. And if you do have a comment or question, we kindly ask you to raise your hand. We'll acknowledge you, and then you can go ahead and speak. Please note that there is a sensitive microphone as well in the ceiling that'll pick up in any side dialogue or any side conversations. You want to be aware of that. Finally, before we begin, we endeavor that council and affected landowners and members of the public all have the same understanding of this rather elaborate project. Drainage projects can be complex, as is this one, so it's important that we're all working from the same facts. And to help with that, our engineer, Mr. Josh Warner, has prepared a step-by-step presentation that will walk us through the project before we open the floor for discussion and determine and discuss the best path forward. At this time, if anyone needs to declare a pecuniary interest, I ask you to declare that now. The purpose of this consideration meeting is to discuss the technical aspects of the drainage report dated June 16th, 2026. Let me pull that mic in. If there are any assessment concerns, these will be addressed at the quarter revision. So once again, this is the drainage report dated June 16th, 2026 for the Anderson and Brand drain improvements. Allow me to introduce council and staff that are present here. Our Mayor, Gary Atkinson, Deputy Mayor Nettie McEwen, Councillor Bob Wolvette, Councillor Kristen Rodriguez, Councillor Alex Bojan. Online with us is Councillor Mike Vasey, our drainage coordinator, Mr. Ryan Tamming, our drainage clerk, Jessica Wilson. Lisa Smeekins is helping, and she's our executive assistant, and our CEO, Adam Sabansky. Our engineer on the project, once again, is Mr. Josh Warner on behalf of R. Dobbin Engineering Incorporated. And I'll now turn the mic over to Mr. Warner to provide an update and to do your presentation, please.
Thank you. As Mr. Van Claveren said, I'm going to give a brief overview of the project. I want to target a few specific things, starting with explain how the project reached this stage. That includes kind of a history of the Anderson drain, the capacity restrictions, and I also want to touch on where we're at now with the majority, if not all, the landowners not really wanting to proceed with the project. Go over the fees that have been incurred to date, and then based on that information, get a direction from council on how to proceed. So the project initiated with 3 requests from different landowners on the drain. All landowners stated that the broken tile drain required replacement in the request form. So the 2 request forms can be seen there. And in terms of highlighting the landowners, the staff report from May 29th, 2024 provided the location of the three landowners. These three dots are all one landowner, but then the other two are separate landowners right at the intersection of Lakeshore and Townsend Line. As you can see, all of the requesting lands were upstream of Lakeshore Road. In terms of a history on the drain was constructed in 1916. At that time, the Anderson Drain commenced just east of Utoxer Road and then head northwesterly along the south side of Townsend Line. West of Lakeshore, it heads northerly and then outlets into the Brand Drain in the municipality of Plympton Shores. So the Brand Drain is shown in red there, and the Anderson in blue. So at the time of the 1916 report, the drain was a 16 to 12-inch tile in a small surface ditch. In 1942, the channel was cleaned out in Lambton Shores. And then in 1954, the tile drain below the ditch was repaired and the open channel was moved off of Townsend Line and increased in size. So in 1973, a tile drain was installed south of the relocated channel. The tile drain paralleled the channel all the way to the Brand Drain. At this time, the Brand Drain was also deepened in order to provide an outlet for the improvements. Therefore, in 1973, the Anderson drain was both a tile drain and open channel from its top end to its outlet. The drawing provides an overview of the infrastructure that was in place in 1973. So you can see here, well, it's hard to see, but it was an open channel and a 16-inch tile in 1973 on the east side of Lakeshore Road, and same with west of Lakeshore Road, a 16-inch tile and an open channel. In 1995, improvements were made to the Brand Drain where a large portion of the drain was enclosed. This enclosure included the portion of the Brand that provides an outlet for the Anderson Drain, so shown in red. The drain was designed to handle 12 millimeters in 24 hours. Although this was below the design guidelines at the time, the engineer felt it would be appropriate to handle subsurface drainage for the area. Within this report, there's no mention or drainage design to address an open channel from the Anderson Drain to the south. Therefore, it's our belief between 1973 and 1995, the Anderson Drain was enclosed in this section, at least in Lot 83. I imagine at the same time it was enclosed west of Lakeshore Road. So the picture on the left is on Townsend Line west of Lakeshore Road, where the open channel once existed as part of the Anderson Drain. So it would have been on the left side of the road. The picture on the right is the Anderson Drain east of Lakeshore Road, where there's an open channel up to 1 meter in depth, and the 16-inch tile to the south. Basically illustrating that the upstream system has a greater capacity, which is contrary to the design principles, as the downstream system should have equal or greater capacity to accommodate upstream flows. So in terms of the current state of the system, the map provides an overview, which again highlights the capacity concern with filling in the open channel that was at one point as part of the Anderson Drain downstream of Lakeshore Road. This open channel provided downstream capacity, but because it was filled in, the existing drain downstream is undersized compared to the upstream system. So yeah, again, as you can see here, the tile is the same size, 16-inch on both sides of Lakeshore Road. East of Lakeshore Road, there's an open channel, nothing to the west. So now more back to this project. So on July 31st, 2024, a site meeting was held with the affected landowners and the drainage superintendent. During the meeting, concerns were raised regarding the tile drain downstream of Lakeshore Road, where water was observed to back up during large storm events. These observations were consistent with the historical open channel west of Lakeshore Road having been enclosed. It was explained that the tile drain downstream of Lakeshore Road, including the improvements completed as part of the 1995 Brand Drain project, is undersized based on current design standards and would require replacement to provide adequate capacity. It was also discussed that the open channel and culverts upstream of Lakeshore Road would be investigated to determine whether improvements were warranted. So on we produced a draft report in 2025. It was submitted to the town and a meeting was held on August 8th, 2025. As part of this draft report, the tile drain downstream of Lakeshore was designed to handle 50 millimeters in 24 hours in order to provide a more suitable outlet for the tile and channel upstream of Lakeshore Road. This is above the grantable standard of 38 millimeters per 24 hours. This design resulted in a 750 millimeter diameter tile from Lakeshore Road to the Brand Drain that would replace the tile from 1973. We then proposed to twin the 525 millimeter diameter tile from 1995 on the Brand Drain with a 900 millimeter diameter concrete tile. As part of this draft report, we also proposed the brushing and cleaning of the open channel upstream of Lakeshore Road, as that was discussed at the meeting. Landowners at the meeting stated that they did not want or require any work on the open channel portion of the Anderson Drain. Therefore, it was removed from subsequent reports. Landowners generally expressed concerns with the cost of the project at this time, concerns with erosion at the outlet of the proposed tile drain, so downstream of the Brand Drain outlet. At the meeting, it was discussed that this would involve, they also expressed interest in exploring a route going south, so along Lakeshore Road. At the meeting, it was discussed that this would involve obstacles in terms of approvals, but if the landowners wish, this could be explored, and they would wish to proceed with exploring this option. So then we prepared a draft report number 2 dated October 27th, 2025, as can be shown on the map here. So in order to evaluate the option of draining southerly with a similar capacity as originally designed, the area was surveyed and we had correspondence with the Conservation Authority. The Conservation Authority identified that at the outlet of the Brand Drain, so it would be up here on your map, that there's a designated wetland in this location. In addition to the Conservation Authority generally not supporting diverting water from wetlands, they had concerns related, or from watersheds, sorry, they had concerns related to diverting of water away from a wetland. The Conservation Authority outlined the required studies to obtain a permit, and we received a quote for $58,000 to perform the required studies. If the studies were unable to demonstrate the proposed rerouting would have no negative impact on the wetland, approval could not be granted at the staff level. Another draft report was prepared to discuss the original alternative of replacing the drain in its current location and the option of going south as shown on the drawing. In this report, it was outlined that the original route would result in less cost to the entire watershed, and the project would not be contingent on unknown approvals regarding the wetland and increased flows towards Hickory Creek to the south. At this meeting, landowners remained concerned about the cost of the project. Landowners requested maintenance of the open channel, so immediately east of Lakeshore Road. And they requested that take place and then a meeting be held in June of 2026 to evaluate the results of that maintenance work. And at that time, we advised that maintenance of the open channel would not resolve the bottleneck issue at the west side of Lakeshore Road. So on June 11th, we had a site meeting with the landowners. During the meeting, all the landowners in attendance indicated the maintenance work that had taken place had addressed their immediate concerns. However, they did note that the area had not experienced a significant rainfall since the work was undertaken. At the time, we explained that council's appointment requires the drainage system to be investigated and that any identified capacity deficiencies be addressed through a report under the Drainage Act. We further advised that a hydraulic bottleneck exists at Lakeshore Road, which limits the capacity of the drainage system. As a result, it was recommended that the matter be referred back to council to obtain direction on how to proceed with the project. So the final report closely matches the draft report number 2. So 750 millimeter diameter tile to the brand drain, and then twinning of the 525 millimeter diameter brand drain from 1995 with a 900 mil tile to an outlet. The one major change is we have provided a section 32 allowance to account for an insufficient outlet downstream of station 0+00, because there's a deep ravine there, and we felt that in order to satisfy the requirement of a sufficient outlet, the cost would exceed the damages to the property. So the total cost for the project considered tonight is $467,795. So in terms of options for council, the first one being adopt the report, second being terminate the project, and then the third being refer the report back. So for if it is decided to adopt the report, it would proceed under the regular Drainage Act process with a quarter revision being held, and then the project going to tender. As outlined in the report, the whole project would be eligible for grant. So option number 2 would be to terminate the project. So basically the costs, if that's the case, the costs incurred to date would need to get addressed. So council can choose to pay the fees, or often these fees can be assessed to the property owners based on the existing schedule of assessment. As that's from 1973, there has been significant changes in the area, and therefore it's not an effective means to assess out these costs. So it's not really a viable option to proceed under that route. And the third being refer the report back. So there's a few options if council refers the report back. So the first being, as I mentioned, there's not a fair means to assess it with the existing schedules. So the first would be to prepare a section 76 report to update the maintenance schedule, and then the engineering costs can be assessed in accordance with that. The process for that would be at this meeting, the report would get referred back, put on hold, and then there would be an appointment under section 76 to update the maintenance schedule for the drain. Once that 76 report has gone through and been fully adopted, then the 78 can come back to council and be terminated, and those engineering costs and other costs to date could be assessed out with that schedule. Other examples that council could refer the report back could include investigating an alternative outlet, increased or decreased design standard, reinstating the open channel downstream of Lakeshore Road, or potentially reducing the scope to only include future maintenance specifications of the open channel portion of the drain, so upstream of Lakeshore Road, as well as the culverts. At this point, we would if that was the case, we'd likely formally abandon the open channel portion of the Anderson drain downstream of Lakeshore Road. And then through this report, the fees to date could be assessed out. Now it says there's no grant that would be paid on that type of improvement project. I would have to verify that for sure, but I think operating under the understanding that there wouldn't be would likely be best. The ministry typically discourages grant payment where there's no actual construction work taking place as part of the project. And that could all be completed under the current appointment, so there wouldn't be a subsequent section 76 appointment. And then finally, the fees to date. So our engineering fees to date are $65,840, and those can be broken down into surveying, drafting, design, estimate and schedules for the report writing, meeting preparation, and correspondence as included in the slide. And there is also a fee for the daylighting and surveying of the utilities. Now, I should mention as well that should the report proceed under section 78, I feel it would still be appropriate to assess the daylighting costs to the utilities. If we were to proceed down a section 76 route, there's no means for those costs to be assessed to the utility, so it'd be lumped in with the remaining engineering fees to get assessed out. Yeah, that's all I have, and I'm available for questions.
Well, thank you, Mr. Warner. That was a very helpful presentation. You covered a lot of ground. There's a lot there. And certainly when you got talking about options and so on. It does seem very appropriate at this point, and in the interest of making the best use of everyone's time, I'd like to ask for a show of hands from those landowners who do not wish to proceed with the project or who do not support option number 1. So a show of hands if you do not want this project to proceed. Okay, thank you. How about a show of hands for someone that would like the project to proceed? You're in favor of option 1. Can't hear, friend? Okay, are you hearing me now, Mr. Courtney? Can you hear me now?
Brought me out. I won't vote anyway.
Okay, fair enough. Okay,
You're good enough.
okay, well, thank you. So therefore, it seemed to be unanimous that option 1 is now off the table, but that doesn't stall completely the discussion. We do have to make a decision here yet tonight. And it might even affect those folks that were planning to speak. You'll still be given an opportunity to do so if you'd like. And you'll certainly get lots of opportunity to ask questions too. I wondered, Mr. Warner, if you would just very briefly go over options 2 and 3 once again, just to be very clear.
Yep.
And then maybe the advantages of each option.
Yeah, so through the chair, I think the only option that's viable in terms of terminating the project tonight would be if council decides to pay the fees to date. So that would be the only option, I believe, under terminating the project. If the report was were to get referred back, and I don't think we're exploring any other options. I don't think that's the case. I think there's 2 main options, the one being a section 76, where this report gets put on hold. There would be a section 76 appointment to update the maintenance schedule for the drain. So that would provide some value to Ryan as the drainage superintendent to maintain it in the future, as well as the engineering costs, once that report is passed, could get assessed out with that schedule. And then the other option for referring the report back would be to basically eliminate all the proposed work as part of the report, provide a profile for the upstream channel, update or include the specifications for the culverts upstream as well as how they shall be maintained, a maintenance schedule for the works. And as part of that report, I could assess out the engineering costs. And as I mentioned, I feel that the utilities could be assessed the cost that was allocated to them for daylighting them.
Okay, so just to be clear, you were most recently describing option 3, and previous to that was option 2.
So option 2 is terminating the project. Council pays all the fees. Option 3 is referring the report back, either to prepare a section 76 report or do a section 78 with the significantly reduced scope.
Okay. So thank you very much. So now we can open it up for some questions from our landowners. Anybody have any questions at this point? Given that option 1 is now off the table? Yes, maybe state your name, please, through the microphone.
I'm Paul Campbell. Yeah. Please explain to me how we can not, as landowners, have an assessment done to pay your fees. You seem to say like option 2 is a no-go, that all your fees has to get incorporated into some kind of work so we can get you paid.
So no, option two is to terminate the project, and I think the only option to do that would be if council pays the fees to date. Option three, would be the 76 or the 78.
Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, as part of work under the Drainage Act, the fees are included as part of that project, and they have to get allocated to, or typically are allocated to the watershed.
But they could be done without any work being done on the project.
Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
So council could say, landowners, you got this far, it's cost you this much, here's your assessment.
Yeah, I mean, I think by eliminating option one, they have decided that there's not going to be actually any proposed work. It's just those are kind of the two, I think the two main options in terms of assessing out the cost today.
Okay, because it seemed like you needed to have some work done someplace.
No, sorry. Yeah, I was mentioning to get the 1/3 grant for agricultural properties. A lot of the time, the ministry who provides that 1/3 grant will want to see actual work taking place. I can verify.
I understand that.
Yeah, I can verify if we can get that 1/3 grant, but yeah.
Well, most of the tile and the roots have been dug out, so I guess we're kind of got the trees looked after. So.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Any other questions from the landowners here tonight? I'll vote from council. Any questions? It certainly looks like option three is maybe the one to consider. Do you have any questions specifically on that? Councillor Bojan?
Yeah, thank you. I'll just ask a question just because I'm curious, because I mean, essentially we're looking at, call it $65,000, $70,000 of engineering work that's been done so far. So with the options that we're talking about, once that gets paid out, is there like, I don't know how to phrase it, but is there a shelf life on this engineering report that we have? So let's say 2 years from now, we've had 4 storms and the same landowners are having problems again. Is there a lifespan or a rough lifespan where we can go back and use this same work without having to duplicate, if that makes sense?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So through the chair, I mean, it depends. The design is still there. As long as there's not any major changes, which I don't foresee, I think it could still be utilized to some extent, maybe not the full extent, but yeah, I think there would be a lot of value in this report. Should this report be brought forward in the future.
Any more questions, Councillor Bojan?
That's everything for now.
Okay. Councillor Rodriguez?
Thank you. I know we're not going forward with anything, but why was the outlet not looked at? My concern is that it sounds like it's a natural ravine outlet into the lake. So it's an open channel. And by increasing the capacity here, and I understand is the wetland in that area or a different area?
Yeah, through the chair. Yeah, that's correct. The wetlands in the outlet of the Brand drain, so immediately downstream of where the report was proposing to outlet. And the reason we didn't continue downstream is the ravine is, if I had to get 100 feet deep. So to stop erosion in something that deep, I think was it would have been too extreme of a cost to warrant the work with the associated damage to the adjacent farm. There's no houses adjacent the ravine, so therefore I felt it was more in the best interest of cost to pay the allowance under Section 32.
Yes, okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I guess my concern is that narrowing on the Brand drain, and it's more open on the Lakeshore and Townsend side. Maybe that's a good thing it is like that, so that you're not getting increased erosion at that outlet. So that was my concern with this whole thing.
Yeah, no, that's correct for that property. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
Just a couple questions. First of all, I have one similar to Councillor Bojan about the term of the report. You've answered that for me. the ones that applied for the original application for this, were they all from Plympton-Wyoming, or was there anybody from Lambton Shores? Because it appears to me that we're sort of side by side on this, and it affects kind of both municipalities. Was it called Plympton-Wyoming, or was this somebody out of Lambton Shores?
Yeah, it was all Plympton-Wyoming landowners that requested the initial work. Yep.
And you've been involving, I see the Lambton Shores Drainage Coordinator as well on this?
Yeah, that's correct.
Still mulling over the option 3 or 2. You want to go on? Maybe Councillor Bailey's got something there.
Yes. Councillor Vacy, any questions? You said no. Madam Deputy Mayor?
No, I have no questions.
Councillor Wolvat?
Well, my comments will be, we've got the landowners here, they know what they want, they know what the water problems are. And if they're not interested in going ahead with this, the big portion of it, then so be it. And I think the appropriate questions have been asked about what happens 2 years down the road. We get some of these big rainfalls and the landowners start to get flooded out. Can we go back to the initial report and use it without these $70,000 costs again? So I think that's a very appropriate question to be asked. So in my opinion, if this is what the landowners want and they're satisfied with it, why would we spend $500,000 to do something that the landowners themselves are not wanting? That's all I have to say about it.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Wolvat. Any other questions at all either from the landowners or on our chambers here, council? Mr. Mayor, did you have something else there yet?
No, I'm just trying to figure out who's going to be paying for the fees that have been accumulated. Certainly respect the landowners if that's what they want, or they don't want, fine, but the fees will have to be covered. So we have to decide where we're going with that.
Maybe, Mr. Warner, if you could explain option number 3 once again, how it's assessed out and maybe the timing. Oh, the question there, pardon me.
Sorry.
Yes, if you don't mind.
Naria Vanderhayden, Plympton-Wyoming taxpayer. Before you decide this costing, I think it would be prudent. I mean, I know I was I had requested to speak, so had Donna Foster. It might be prudent to maybe, mine will be reduced significantly because of what you've decided. But I think a little bit of the history of how this petition came to be should be allowed to be given. And I think that might factor into your decisions on your costing.
Absolutely. Yeah, by all means. And hey, you got the mic. If you want to make your statement now, that's more than fine.
Actually, I think Donna Foster should go first.
Sure.
He was listed first. So.
Sure.
Thank you.
Please, Donna.
Thanks.
Yeah, so that's my mom. My name is Donna Foster. I'm the one that's just been trying to get the ditch cleaned out. So Mr. Warner pretty much took care of my whole first page, so that's fine. I don't expect any answers today, as I've yet to receive any answers in 2 decades, but my questions still remain. Why did the Drainage Department wait over 20 years after repeated requests without any response or even guidance? Why did the Drainage Department wait 2 years from the first site meeting to perform any open drain maintenance? Why did the Drainage Department allow an additional $40,000 in expenses to be charged by Dobbin Engineering after the landowner's concerns at the initial meeting? Why do the landowners have to pay any supposed costs incurred to date when maintenance is always what has been requested and is covered by our existing property taxes? Why do the landowners have to pay any supposed costs when the Drainage Department provided the wrong form to a concerned landowner? Why would any person here accept the proffered invoice from the Drainage Department supposedly issued by Dobbin Engineering with no breakdown or clarity or even an illusion of reality? How can Dobbin Engineering send an invoice for $69,340 in April of 2025, then generate 3 massive reports and attend at least 4 meetings, but incur only an additional $1,150 in expenses? In August of 2005, our local area received 7 inches of rain in 4 hours. The whole curve of Elmsley Road was underwater and the properties on the south and east sides of Lakeshore Road and Townsend Line intersection were flooded. Water was encroaching on the intersection. All that water receded within 4 days. Over the years, I have contacted the township, then municipality repeatedly, both through the roads and drainage departments, regarding the ever-expanding mass of Phragmites on the southwest corner of this intersection. In over 20 years, not once has anyone been out to do anything about them. In July of 2023, I reached out to the drainage department again after the significant rains that caused culvert washouts north of this intersection on Lakeshore Road, because the area was again inundated with water. Excuse me. This time it took well over a week to drain. In August 2023, Elizabeth Cummings, now Little from the Roads Department, finally met with me to see the situation. I told them I had repeatedly requested the Phragmites to be dealt with. At this time, we also found the catch basin could not be seen under the massive weeds growing over it. The height of the Phragmites attracts a lot of people to just pull to the shoulder on Townsend, right at the corner, but their vehicle can't clear the live lane of traffic. There's enough accidents at this intersection without this potential situation causing one that could be fatal. I thought I had Ms. Cummins' agreement that the drains were simply moving slower. She said she would send me the form to have the issues dealt with. By email, she sent me a Section 78 improvement request for a municipal drain. To be honest, the form didn't make any sense to me for cleaning a ditch. She had included a map of the area and marked landowners' names on it, suggesting I contact some of them to sign the form, that it would give more impact to council. I've never been involved in anything to do with municipal drainage, so I had no idea what to do with this form. I filled it out in a way to get the ditch cleaned. I only just learned at the site meeting last month that there is a form under Section 74 called Request for Repair and Maintenance of a Municipal Drain. In all the years I have called regarding the Phragmites, not once was this form mentioned. Since the beginning of this fiasco 3 years ago, no one in the drainage department has seen fit to mention the existence of this form after my repeated statements of just wanting the ditch cleaned. I didn't know this ditch was a municipal drain. I didn't even know until last month we had to ask for ditch maintenance. In the summer of 2023, before any of this even started, before the intersection flooded for only the second time in 20 years, someone made some upgrades to Anderson Drain, installing two 18-inch tiles beside the Townsend Line South ditch from east of Utah west only through some of the properties and ending in the backyard of the southwest property on the corner that now has Phragmites growing into its front yard. There's been no disclosure as to who requested or decided on this. It was undertaken without any meetings, minimal landowner notice, and didn't even go to tender, as the equipment operator on site was so eager to explain. These twin tiles just dead end beside the open ditch, 200 to 300 feet away from the intersection. But still the Phragmites weren't cleaned out. I will acknowledge that the township has finally made a feeble attempt to clean out the open ditch at the intersection. But as this was done several weeks ago, with no spraying yet that I've seen, the Phragmites are already growing back. The ditch just upstream of the Phragmites has trees and excessive weed growth, but wasn't even touched. Want to clean up the whole mess. I may not know the proper forms and procedures, but I do know there isn't a farmer in the designated area that has drainage issues requiring this level of expenditure. This whole project is redundant if the ditches cannot even be properly cleaned with or without the proper form. Obviously, we've decided that the huge cost isn't going to be happening, but let's be logical and set up a maintenance schedule for the open ditch and catch basin that the township and county adhere to, so we as landowners can enjoy the properties we work so hard to have. Due to the misguidance of municipal staff, the improvement form under Section 78 was not the form to have sent me regarding my requests and the subsequent on-site discussion. I spent 25 minutes on the municipal website before I found the form, Section 74, Repair and Maintenance, only because I knew the form name and finally entered it into the site search to locate. I've got copies for everybody, so you don't have to do that. Last week, on behalf of the landowners on the watershed for this unnecessary project, I attempted to obtain a breakdown of the costs and expenses supposedly incurred to date. After much misdirection and multiple emails replies from our drainage department, I was sent a picture file, not the expected PDF, of a childish invoice copy supposedly issued by Dobbin Engineering in the amount of $78,354.20. The breakdown's only 2 lines, engineering costs and something called daylighting and utility surveying, all subject to HST. In other words, no breakdown at all. The invoice was dated April 12, 2025, 14 months prior to the most recent site meeting and 2 months before the first report. On July 7, yesterday, Dobbin Engineering finally sent through the cost breakdown you saw there. I don't understand how the invoice from last April and the amount today only has like a $1,200 difference, but he's generated 4 reports or 3 reports and attended 4 meetings. Again, the numbers don't add up. On behalf of all landowners subject to the costs incurred because of the incorrect form being provided to me by the Drainage Department, I would like to request a motion put forward by someone that the engineering findings be not accepted. We've already done that. Thank you very much. I further request that the costs incurred to create these project plans not be assessed to the landowners. The expenses to date don't add up from the municipality to the engineering firm, and the cost and scope of this project simply doesn't make sense. It was never what I asked for.
Well, thank you. There's a lot there. Thank you for that. Norio, did you want your time at the mic?
Thank you. Like I said, mine is reduced now significantly. I don't want to be repeating a whole lot of things. I just wanted to point out, I want to make my opening statement because I think it's really good. I have had the privilege of being a Plympton and then a Plympton-Wyoming taxpayer since 1970. That is a lot of tax-paying years, 56 to be exact, 2 times a year. To date now, 111 to be exact. In that time, we, and now I, have seen many councils come and go. And I hope you have a sense of humor in this, some better than others, but let's not elaborate on that and get down to the matter at hand. The 112th tax bill will be coming in October of this year, and I can only imagine and wonder what will be under special charges on that bill, most likely based on the outcome of this meeting and council's decision. Before you make that decision, I would request that you kindly consider the following. Now, I'm not going through all those because that was all pointed out in the initial presentation, but I did have a question to ask. So I think it was on the 2024 tax bill, I was assessed over $7,000 for Anderson Drain maintenance. There was no work done on any of our properties that we could see or that any of us saw. But the young operator who we spoke to as he was finishing his work of dropping the 2 18-inch side-by-side drains into a landowner's property with no connection to anything, stated that we would now all be better off with our drainage. I told him we weren't particularly having on the farm any drainage problems. But he said, no, he had saved us thousands of dollars because this job wasn't tendered. And again, I advised, I had absolutely no information, no prior notice of any of this work that I was going to be billed for, or we were going to be billed for. Does maintenance require a tender at any point? Can someone answer me that?
That would depend on our procurement policy at the time. So currently over $50,000 requires a tender to council. $25,000 to $50,000 requires a request for quotation. Between 25 and 10 requires somewhat of an informal competitive process, and then less than $10,000 can be done at the manager's discretion.
Okay, so, how would I even know if nobody sends me a notice or anything that has to do with something I'm going to be assessed for to the tune of $7,000 and our land wasn't touched? Shouldn't I or us have been given an explanation as to what the plans were and what we could expect, or if we had any questions? Secondly, and you might not like this, but I have to say this. In 20-some years, shame on all the Plympton-Wyoming councils, employees, or officials that were in council or whatever duties you had 20-some years prior, that Donna Foster, as a tax-paying landowner, asked for maintenance and was ignored. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Caleb or Paul Campbell, do you have any comments you'd requested to speak?
Might be able to just help Noy on that. We had asked Elizabeth at the time for some work to, the drain coming through or just out of our bush was full of roots. We knew that. There's a catch basin that the Utahs here was full of water. So, and I know where plug is. It's always at the tree. So we asked for some work to be done, which they brought in a young fellow, the same guy as they were down there, to do the work. I would never hire those young fellows. I don't know how they got a job with the council or with the township, but the work I seen done did not impress Caleb and I, and that's his job. Anyway, she took it upon herself then to say, let's check the other end of the drain, which is down in Pete's end of the world. And that's just one line after Nouriel's on the map there. So they went that 300 or 400 feet through Pete's bush / stuff that grew up. And so that's what would become her assessment for her water from that point on. And we paid a bunch for ours because our water goes through Pete's too. So we pay for that too. But that was strictly on the former drainage coordinator. Not on any of the landowners wanting any of that work. She took that upon herself. Yeah, maybe that's why she don't work for us anymore. I don't know.
I wasn't there for the situation. I do want to iterate that the drainage superintendent does have some authority to make minor repairs. So in a situation where it's a minor catch basin repair, if a grate collapses or replacement of a small section of pipe, there is some discretion on a drainage superintendent to make minor repairs without the request if they feel it's important to do so. Again, I was not familiar with the situation. I was director of public works at the time. Elizabeth was taking care of the maintenance at the time, but they do have some discretionary powers in that nature.
That's right. Most of them. If you're gonna blow it online, then come fix it.
Ms. Foster?
Is there a engineering drawing or somebody a little more intelligent than the kid that was on the excavator who actually designed this to just dead end into my daughter's backyard? There's a combined total of 36 inches of tile, literally just stopping in her backyard. It does not tie into that drainage ditch. It's buried underground.
Well, I could see if somebody'd like to tackle that.
Yeah, I can try and speak to that, I guess. So do you recall what year that was done?
2023.
It was in 23 as part of this work. So through that work, they replaced tile through Mr. Courtney's property because it was damaged and plugged with tree roots. And I believe at that time there was 2 small tiles connected to the tile drain that take surface water from a few places at the west end of Mr. Courtney's lot, which would be the east end, I believe, of your daughter's lot, correct?
Okay.
Yes.
That's a
that was tile drainage into the Anderson drain.
I believe there's 2 surface water tiles that take water into the Anderson drain from Los.
We're been
Yeah, I don't know about a tile to know where we would like, we would have to point it out. We'd have to go dig a hole and see what's going on there. It doesn't ring any bells, and I'd asked Liz about that, and
Okay.
she doesn't know about tiles of nowhere either.
Where along the south side of that ditch where those 18 inches pour out into it.
Yeah, because they go into the concrete, or now plastic tile. They don't go into the ditch. They're connected to the subsurface drainage. Does that make sense? There's the ditch and there's a pipe beside the ditch. So those are connected to the pipe, not to the ditch.
Side
Yes.
Yeah, too.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why there's a pipe and a ditch going into just the pipe, and the pipe's the same size the whole way. So downstream of Lakeshore Road is only a pipe, and that's why there's a bottleneck there.
Right.
We could show you on the map a bit more too and become more clear.
Well, Josh kind of did explain that through his presentation a couple times as well, but yeah, the drain used to be an open channel all the way to the Brand Drain Ravine with a pipe, right? Now there's only the pipe downstream of Lakeshore Road. There's no open channel. So downstream of Lakeshore Road cannot handle the water from the upstream of Lakeshore Road. In those large events, only in those large events, right?
We have to figure that out because now we can see the catch basin. It's not buried under 2 feet of grapevine.
Yeah, I mean, again, if the tile was clear, the water could drain into it. Yeah.
Caleb, did you have a statement or a question?
It's for future. It's okay. Yeah, future problem.
Future problem. Okay. We'll hold that till later then is what I'm hearing. Okay. Is there any other statements or questions? I know Mr. Courtney was weighing his options, whether he was going to speak or not, but I think he's going to pass. Yeah.
Talk, I can.
That's okay. We won't make you talk. That's okay. Well, council, any questions that have surfaced since Councillor Bojan?
I just want to confirm something before we get too far ahead of it. I can't go back to the past or previous staff, but can I just confirm? Because when we talk about sections 70s and all that stuff, it's confusing even to me. So let alone the public who doesn't do these meetings all the time. So can I just confirm that when someone comes into the office or they call the office and they're requesting maintenance of a ditch or maintenance of a drain, what that process is, and that we're not, like, that there is no confusion of what sections we're filing? Thank you.
I'm gonna handle this because of a different perspective, Ryan, if you don't mind. So the challenge we have with a number of our drains is that they were built, the drawings created so far ago that the lots, the roads did not necessarily exist. So in front of me right now, I have the 1974 report. Hillsborough Road does not exist. All the roads north, all the development north on Hillsborough Road doesn't exist. The old Lakeshore Road as it sits doesn't exist. And so as it sits today, Elizabeth wouldn't have been able to do maintenance and properly assess it out because there was no old Lakeshore Road wasn't there in full. Hillsborough Road wasn't there. It was quite different layout than it currently sits today. So she would have deferred away from doing a 74 because she would have no way to efficiently issue it out anymore. So when any drainage superintendent does not have a up-to-date assessment, they typically would push the property owners to do a section 78 because that will not, even if it's a minor improvement, the biggest benefit of doing a section 78 will be the production of a new assessment map, which will allow them to properly assess it out. I can't really show this on the screen, but if you want to throw it down at me. That's why Elizabeth Widow gave a section 78. It says I don't think she would have looked at this drawing that I'm looking at right now, and she would have been like, I can't assess this out as it sits today.
Does that help a little bit so far? Councillor Bojan, do you have anything kind of to add there?
I might be a little more confused because
Yeah.
because couldn't there have been a way, if that's the case, I'm not denying that. I mean, maps we're talking decades ago. But could there have been a way to, if it had to be a 78 to update these maps, which it sounds like is the next step here, we're gonna have to do that now. Could we not have jumped straight to that without doing a whole new engineering project?
The engineers would have to create the new assessment though. So in theory,
Okay.
in theory, the drainage superintendent could have,
Jen too.
in theory, the drainage superintendent could have just done maintenance on the open drain, but then obviously she would have seen that there's a drainage deadlock at the intersection because where this shows an open drain going down hills, Townsend line, and then north into the open water course. She would have seen that it had been filled in and now only the subsurface tile exists. So that's why she likely would have asked for this section, referred it to Josh for an improvement other than a simple reassessment. Because it no longer met the original drain. So you can't really maintain it if the original drain is not as it was originally. I'm speculating. Liz had 30 years of experience as a drainage superintendent, so she didn't necessarily consult with me on everything. But from my past experience as a drainage superintendent and director of public works and talking to Ryan on this project, that's my understanding, because the drain no longer existed as it was designed. It's hard to do maintenance on it without a good assessment. As you can see, the maps were quite old, and a drain which was no longer in place as it was engineered to be in place.
Yes, one more.
Okay, thank you. Then just one more question, because typically when we see these, the conversation of who's paying for what doesn't happen yet. It happens typically at the quarter revision after everything is done. So my next question, I guess, is with the third option or whatever option it is now, where it's go back to create a new schedule of assessment, I think is, if I'm following properly, that way you know how much people would theoretically owe based on this new schedule. How much more money are we talking? I know I don't want to, I can't get you to quote us right now, but do we have a rough idea of how much more fees we're talking about to get us to a point where we have an updated schedule assessment for that $70,000 of work, which at that point can go to a quarter revision for the town to decide to change or not, which is a typical process. Does that question make sense? What I'm at?
So basically, you'd be incorporating the drain as it is, because it doesn't exist as it is right now. It exists in its previous state, which isn't there. So you'd be incorporating the drain as it sits today, which is with the reduced outlet. And then you'd be producing a new assessment map. I'm looking at Josh because, and I'm not asking you to give me a solid number, but a general idea what that would cost.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in terms of history, I don't think we had any. I think we were following the proper procedures and the way we acted, but I think we also have to keep in mind the value that we're providing to the watershed. And I mean, there's been a lot of money spent already. I don't think that any more is going to provide necessarily that value out of it. So that being said, there won't be any more engineering fees beyond what's been invoiced.
Does that answer your question, Councillor Woodard? Councillor Rodriguez, please.
Thank you. So to clarify from what you've stated, Mr. Sabansky, but noted here as an option to do the updated assessment, could that not have been an option at the time that they asked for a repair? And to me, it sounds like the drainage engineer or drainage coordinator may have went beyond what they were asking for, kind of what you're saying, because things are so different from the 74 to now.
I don't know about that. I don't know the conversations everyone had with Elizabeth. I don't know what everyone was found on site. We're talking 5 years of history. I only could look at the engineering that was presented to me today and make educated assessments based on my knowledge of our previous employees and what sits in front of me today. There's also an option, and that there's other options too, is could this be shelved? Like the drain has been cleaned out, correct, Ryan?
I cleaned just the fragmite at the bottom end of the drain, expecting that if this report was to go through, the original intent was that there'd be a maintenance schedule to properly assess, work out, and we could do work on the whole drain. I was asked to brush the Phragmite down at the onsite meeting, or was it at the draft meeting here we had last year? And I did do that as maintenance. Planning on assessing it once we had a complete schedule of maintenance.
So if we updated the assessment, incorporated the drain as today, this design is sitting on a shelf and can be re-implemented with some minimal costs if the property owners find that it's still not draining appropriately, because you have a ditch that is designed to have an open ditch run along the side of the road and a closed ditch for subsurface water that is now currently coming to a bottleneck on the south side of Lake Shore Road and forcing it all into an individual catch basin, which wasn't necessarily intended to take all the water that is taken today. Because there used to be an open ditch that existed north of Lake Shore Road that took the water to the open water course that doesn't exist for whatever reason is in the past. So the capacity of this drain north of Lake Shore is significantly decreased. So if we went through the process of just updating the assessment and formalizing the existing design, during large storm events, you're likely still going to see some flooding, especially with the rapidly increasing storm events we are having today. So if we come back to this, there could be additional costs to bring it back into place where all the work is done and ready to go now. So.
If I may finish.
Yes, of course.
Thank you. So the reason why I was stating all that, I mean, I go back to the original petition by the landowners, where it does say on the petition, fix a broken drain tile. But then below it, it says the whole drain. So it was really hard to understand, was the whole drain broken? You know, so I can see where there would have been some not clear understanding there maybe. And with everything else that's been said. So I am also really concerned that I feel like this almost, the reason why it bottlenecks is because of that natural ravine down the shoreline. Because if you open it up or improve it, it's going to dramatically increase erosion on that natural ravine. So that's a big concern too. I don't know.
I don't
if
want to
this-
get into details, but it's a challenge in the Drainage Act because you're saving one person's property but potentially causing property damage to another person's. So the drain used to have an open ditch portion that used to run all the way to the ravine. We've closed that off. So yes, we've lessened the amount of erosion occurring near the lake, but you've increased the flood risk near Lakeshore Road. So I wouldn't want to debate that one way or the other because
No, I'm not.
I have no idea how
Yeah.
it got.
And I don't want to debate it either. I was just making that comment. It's just almost like maybe one thing was done one way to stop another thing and here's your result. And I don't think we need to get into all that, but I'm just noting it. That's all that's my concern. So I would be, if you're asking for opinions on what
I take
option,
your opinion, yes.
I feel like in good faith that there might, it seems like there really wasn't a clear understanding, especially when I go back to the petition, the way it was written, it's clearly noted that they just wanted a drain fixed. I still don't understand why they couldn't have gone to 76 to update the assessment, do the maintenance and do a section 76 that's being talked about. To update the maintenance and have done it that way.
Would you like Mr. Warner to respond to
yeah.
that?
Yeah, so through the chair, that certainly could have been an option at the time. Again, it wouldn't resolve the issue at Lakeshore Road that likely Liz saw as an issue at that time.
Sure.
But yeah, that could be an option.
And I do want to make clear, it's no reflection on you. You were just following what you had in front of you, so. But I tend to think that maybe we should be absorbing the 40, I don't know what our portion or their portion would have been, because we would have portions to this too, as the authority or road authority. So I don't know what that number even looks like. That would be assessed out to them.
Would you like to speak to that, Mr. Spansky?
Yeah, Liz is not here. I don't want to badmouth her. People deserve the opportunity to speak their mind, but she's not here. But I will agree that there was obviously a miscommunication. The route, how that came to be, I don't want to debate with the public because you have your points of views. I'm sure she has hers, but it is unfortunate. If we are going to move forward with assuming the drain as it is, updating the assessment, there is engineering costs that should be allocated to that. So probably the fair thing would be to do, if that's the direction we're going, reasonable engineering costs be applied to that process, and the engineering cost above and beyond the cost that would have been required to incorporate the drain as it is today and to update the assessment, council would maybe then consider those fees, given the misunderstanding. But if there is still engineering costs that are associated, there would still have been some survey work, some investigation work and others. So there would still be reasonable engineering costs for that. So that's something council may want to consider too, is if they are going to move forward with the update.
Yeah, and
reasonable engineering fees be applied.
Was there a question over here yet that I see?
yes.
Maybe Josh.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, just to provide some clarification, so I believe that we're talking the report is going to get referred back likely under 78. There will still be meetings in front of council. So once we revise the report, we'd submit a formal report again. There'd be a meeting to consider just like this, and then there'd be a court revision where potentially could be contemplation of the town taking a portion of the assessment at that time.
Okay, so having said all that, thank you very much.
There's still a bit of clarification because there's like option 3A and option 3B. The one would just be like reducing the scope. We'll call it option 3A, and then option 3B would be to put the 78 on hold and then create a 76.
Yeah, and maybe I can speak to the benefits of the 78. Because right now the culverts are not part of the drain upstream of Lakeshore Road. We incorporate those culverts, allow for them to be replaced in the future, as well as provide a profile for the open channel upstream of Lakeshore Road. We would abandon the open channel portion downstream of Lakeshore Road. So I think there's a lot more value in doing the 78, as well as we could assess some of the engineering costs to the utilities. And it gives us a little more flexibility in assessing the fees to date as well, because if we do a 76, it's only on the Anderson drain. So it doesn't apply to we can't do a 76 on the Brand drain. If we do it through a 78, we can assess some of the engineering costs that's associated with the portion on the Brand drain, to the properties that use that.
So Jessica, are you clear as to what motion that would fall under? Is that?
I'm clear. It just depends on how.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Now, you'd mentioned a 3A and B. I don't have a 3A or B on here. I just have a 3.
So
Yeah.
to simplify it, I think we're down to a 78 versus a 76.
Okay.
So 76, you're just getting a new assessment, everything stays the same. The 78, you incorporate portions of the drain.
Okay.
So although that will be more money, obviously, that will give the drainage superintendent better ability to maintain that drain in the future if those culverts are incorporated, et cetera. Because if something on the downstream area that's not incorporated were to fail and cause flooding, we would probably be back at this process again. So although I know no one wants to spend the money, there is benefits to that 78 for the property owners in the future, making it easier for just maintenance to be done instead of having to come back for another 78 after that.
Yeah, and just to mention too, the 78 report wouldn't include the proposed tile in this report. It would just allow maintenance of the existing drain. So if you wanted to put a new drain in place downstream of Lakeshore Road, it would have to go through a new section 78 report.
Under maintenance, he could replace the existing drain like for like in that with a 78 if it's incorporated.
Okay. Yeah, Councillor Rodriguez.
Thank you. So just to be clear, I was stating where I was going with it.
Yes.
But Josh stated that the discussion of the costs would have to be dealt with under the Court of Revision. So once that 78 comes back to us, if that's the way we're going here, and it's all done, and then it's assessed out, then there's a Court of Revision.
Yeah, so the report would be referred back with the direction to produce a 78 with a reduced scope, eliminating all the downstream work of Lakeshore Road. That would proceed through the regular Drainage Act process with a meeting to consider, which would have to do with the design. I imagine if we eliminate the scope downstream of Lakeshore Road, there might not be much discussion in regards to that. But then afterwards will be the Court of Revision, where landowners can appeal. Essentially, it'll be the engineering costs. They could appeal their portion of the engineering costs. And if council or the court feels that the town should be paying a larger portion, that can be decided at that time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you once again, Josh. Mr. Campbell?
This discussion has seemed to move from 76 to 78. I'm not so sure all of us here were in favor of moving this discussion from 76 to 78.
Yeah, so just to clarify, the 78 doesn't include any actual work. It's basically just updating the profile and showing the culvert. So it's updating.
I understand all that.
Existing infrastructure is
true.
And there's, in terms of the engineering fees, there won't be any difference in the engineering fees.
But here's the big but. When we move to 78, as you've noticed on that map, that drain has an open ditch and a tile drainage. The only water that makes it to that open ditch is a little bit that slips off the side that doesn't get caught by the tile. And it has worked fantastic for 40 years. It really should not be a municipal open ditch. The municipal drain is in the grounds and we fix it. And we're trying to double it the southeast of Lake Shore. So there's a discussion that we should not be. That ditch can be looked after with just general ditching as they do with township and county. County could look after it. There's never been a flooding problem on that ditch. Never. Back down Oriole, most of that ditch is pretty much in corn. But that should be removed. Leave the tile drain as the ditch, as the municipal drain. That's exactly what it is. You don't double the municipal drain. And don't give me the idea, oh, that's for surface water. No, fields collect the surface water. We do a good job of that and put her down the tile. And everybody's well tiled today, so I think we're back to 76.
Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah,
I don't know.
So 70, like you're talking the abandonment of the open channel east of Lakeshore Road.
Leaving it in a ditch.
Yeah, I mean, it's a municipal drain right now, so whether we proceed through a 78 or a 76 doesn't impact that. Under both circumstances, it's remaining a part of the municipal drain.
How do we get it off?
We have two drains. You're asking us to pay for the open channel, which doesn't drain our farmland. We have a drain there.
Microphone, please. Thank
So the question is, can we get that back up? That map, the proposed work. So the problem is the bottleneck capacity is Townsend Line, the intersection there. The open ditch is draining there's a property there. There's a new house that's been put up there. So that's where that's the open channel draining the roadway and surface water from that property. All the landowners, Courtney's is the first one farm there. All the landowners up there, we have paid years prior to put the drain in the field. We do not care about the open ditch along Townsend Line. That portion of Townsend Line that goes all the way up past Utoxeter, you see it's ending there in the bottom corner. That's what you're classifying as the open drain. So we're asking us to pay for two drains. I don't think you guys realize that. So two drains There should not be two drains here. We have put all of our field tile into the drain that's all running along our properties, in our properties. So that's why we're saying we do not want any work done on those culverts because they really should be the county's ditch. We paid our money, we paid all our engineering fees to put that drain in our farmland. The only part where that's draining property is that corner. The rest of it doesn't drain our property. The drain in the field drains the property.
I might be a little more confused than how we started. I'm still not sure. I'm not sure where the rest of council is on how the 78 changes it one way or the other.
He's asking that 78 is proposing the maintenance work be done on that open channel and those culverts.
No, that's not, no, there's no proposed work. It provides a profile for future maintenance.
You're saying we don't want any maintenance because that's not our drain.
Yeah, I mean.
Tile drains in the fields.
Yeah, I mean, right now it is your drain. We're not changing that. We're just providing a means to maintain it. In terms of the assessment, we can factor that in when we do the schedule of maintenance for the open channel, that you feel you don't use it. But short of that, I mean, yeah, it's part of the municipal drain. And
so how do we eliminate having two drains to pay for?
So just to read the original report from 73, the original installation known as the Anderson Tile Drain was constructed within the limits of the Townsend Line Road, south of the downstream, or Townsend Line south of the downstream in Bazanquet Township. The similar system in nature with a somewhat large surface ditch having been constructed. So it's all incorporated as part of 1 and 73. So to unincorporate, you'd actually have the engineer abandon that section of the drain and produce a new report that doesn't include it. So we'd be doing much of the same work as he's already done.
So if that's what you are proposing to do is to resubmit that needs to be done.
I think that's the engineer can answer correctly, but that's a complete different.
Because I brought that up to him and he just says, oh, it's a municipal drain. That my hands, I can't do anything with it.
It is a municipal drain unless someone submits a request to abandon it. They're working under 78 to improve it. So I think that's the challenge.
So
If the drainage community as a whole wanted to see it abandoned, that would change the discussion. But that was not the source of the petition at the time or the application at the time.
Sure, but now things have obviously changed and this is
fair.
This is where we're at. So like I said, that's the past. Now we're here. Now let's get this addressed.
Okay, I think I might have an answer. Ryan, do you have a?
Abandonment of a municipal drain is possible under section 84 of the act. You need 75% of the landowners in the affected area to submit a petition to the town. And then it comes to a similar process as any other drain report. We would appoint an engineer to investigate the abandonment of the drain. If they recommend that the drain be abandoned, they come to council. We want half of it. Similarly, yeah. We want half of it.
No.
So I don't know.
I have a question. If they insist, if it's insisted upon that would happen, can we still move forward in our decision tonight? And then that could be approached later?
Yeah, yes, that's correct. It can be done later and it doesn't necessarily have to go to an engineer. It goes to an engineer if there's an objection. So I mean, it's a county road and potentially they could object to it being abandoned as a municipal drain.
Okay, and so then if an engineer needs to be hired,
yeah,
who would do the hiring? Would that be the
town would? Yep.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
Can I clarify something about the original petition that everybody keeps bringing up? After those rains, the 10 inches of rain in 4 days, and 3/4 of my backyard was underwater. My daughter's backyard was underwater. And I was driving around a 3-block radius, watching where the water was going. And it was not moving away from or over to the other side, along the side of her property, where all those phragmites and the trees and crap are. It was coming across the back of her property, across Elmsley, across my yard and over into the Lakeshore Road ditch. When I walked back over to the intersection where the water was starting to encroach on the southwest corner of the actual intersection, we was right up on the pavement. That water was not moving. Like I said, I know absolutely nothing about drainage, but I grew up on a farm. If water's moving and then all of a sudden it's changing direction and going somewhere else, but there's water ahead of it not moving, there's a blockage. Something is stuck. That is why I filled it out to say possible broken drain. Do I know where it is? I have no idea. I don't know anything. I wanted to ditch cleaned. That's all I wanted. And now here we are.
We are. So, is there any other questions at this point? Everybody's fearful to ask questions. Mr. Mayor?
See, has a question.
I think Councillor Vacy, but the lady in the
Oh.
back row with the white top on had her.
Okay,
hand up
just
earlier.
hang on, Mike. Way in the back there, we have a question.
Okay. Just wanted to say, I'm Margaret Schuling, and we own the property where the drainage goes into the lake, and we have an enormous, after we get a rain, we have pollution, not pollution, we have the water comes fast, erosion, and we did erosion control every spring, every summer. And we are hoping that you don't put even more water in there, because who takes care of it? It's us. Nobody else wants to. And you're all welcome to have a look after a good rain, how much water comes down there. So that is what I wanted to mention and keep in account.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Vacy?
Yes, thank you, Chair. The discussion about closing the ditch. If that goes through, the cost is gonna go through the roof because we're gonna have to expand that tile that runs beside it to accept all the water that goes into the ditch now. So we've solved nothing. We've still got the bottleneck at the corner. We filled the ditch in, but now we have to accept all that water somewhere. So now we have to expand the pipe that all the field drains are running into. So you see what I'm saying? It's, that water is getting to the ditch somehow, and now it's just gonna pile up on the road or on the side of the road. I just don't see it happening.
Well, thank you. Mr. Warner, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, and I'll just clarify the landowner's point. It wasn't that they wanted the ditch enclosed, they wanted it abandoned as part of the municipal drain. It would still be in place to service the road authority. But yeah, the intent wasn't to fill the channel in.
Well, it's still part of the drainage system though.
Indeed it is. Now the landowners assure us they're not putting any water into it, so we'll take their word for that. Where the waters come, we're not sure, but it's remaining, Councillor Vacy, so that'll still channel water. That's no problem.
All right.
If there's no further questions, maybe I'll read the motion, and
I think there's a divide.
there is a bit of a divide. So I'll read motion for option 2, excuse me, that the section 78 report by R. Dobbin Engineering Incorporated dated June 16th, 2026, known as the Anderson and Brand Drain Improvements 2026, be referred to the engineer for modifications that would reduce the scope to only include future maintenance, specifications of open channel and culverts upstream of Lakeshore Road.
This is the option that would incorporate the upstream drain, allow for a proper maintenance schedule, and allow council to review the engineering costs at the quarter revision and adjust if they see fit where those engineering costs lie.
Yes, Deputy Mayor.
So there's no more engineering fees when you do this? Yeah, you're that.
Correct, yeah.
I just want to. Good question.
Anybody like to move that? Councillor Rodriguez? Get you to sign these in a minute. Councillor B? Did I see that? Yeah. Can we have him sign an abstention? Or Councillor Bojan, did you have your hand up to
I
second?
wrote
that?
his name on it.
Oh, did you? Okay. Fair enough.
Sorry, did you want to sign?
No, you're good.
We're good.
Pass motions digitally.
He's here.
Okay. I'll read that one more time, okay? That the Section 78 report by R. Dobbin Engineering Incorporated dated June the 16th, 2026, known as the Anderson and Brand Drain Improvements 2026, be referred to the engineer for modifications that would reduce the scope to only include future maintenance, specifications of open channel, and culverts upstream of Lakeshore Road. All in favor? And that's carried.
Adjournment one. Or the chair adjourns, Josh, as the engineer, having motion from council on what the next steps are, could you explain to council and the public what the next steps will be?
Yep, so the next steps, we'll go back, revise the report, as directed by council. Again, you'll receive I don't know if we want to go to a draft report meeting, probably, no, okay. So I'd expect probably in August at some point, you'll likely receive a final version of the report, that will take us to the meeting to consider the report, probably in September. And that again will be to consider the design. About a month after that will be the quarter revision, which will deal with the assessments, which is essentially assessing out the engineering costs to date.
Okay, very good. Councillor Bojan.
Yeah, thank you. And just to be clear as mud, that motion has essentially stopped the bleeding on this current one. And at the same time that that's happening, if there's a question, that the conversations about that other topic about abandonment can happen simultaneously, just to confirm.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Just before we adjourn, I do want to send out a thank you to everyone here, landowners that couldn't make this particular meeting, because there's been a multitude of meetings. So thank you very much for that. Your patience. Sorry very much for your hardship in the earlier years. Hopefully we'll improve on that. And thank you to our engineer and town staff, an incredible amount of work that you've done. I appreciate that. The motion as it reads is that the consideration meeting for the Anderson and Brand Drain Improvements 2026 be adjourned. In favor? And that's carried. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Councillor Van Claveren. Council, we're going to take a 5-minute recess for the council chamber to clear, and we'll resume and we'll be going back in camera.